Good morning, Mark and Lou with the extra point of view in the cozy confines of the JLL office in Savannah, right?
There you go, yep.
All right, Lou, we're gonna have the money talk. You guys all know what the money talk is, right? It's time to get real. What's happening out there? Money for coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Conference realignment. The SEC is getting stronger. Texas and Oklahoma want a piece of that big pie that's in the SEC. Transfer portal, paying players, expansion of the playoffs, all those things. There was an article, I'll dig it up. It was about 2 weeks ago in the Wall Street Journal, but it was talking about the business of college football. And basically the article said, you know, it had some of those coaching announcements. It was the Mel Tucker deal and then the Brian Kelly deal. And basically what the writer said was, well, does this really surprise you?
Shouldn't.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he said. I mean, everything that's happening right now in college football is headed toward bigger paychecks for now and for everybody, right?
Yeah.
The coaching numbers starting there are, I mean, what? Mel Tucker's deal was announced the week of the Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
I mean, the Ohio State game.
Yeah. Yeah.
$85 million for 10 years. What was the halftime sign? DocuSign, Mel Tucker signed quick,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
But now that's like his number is now sort of like the baseline for these guys like Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly and all these guys.
Yeah.
What do you know? What Lanning got in the Oregon deal?
Haven't looked.
Yeah.
Too sad.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Yeah.
But you got to go where the money is, right?
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity. I mean, a guy like Lanning, I mean, statistically, I mean, other than the Alabama game, I mean, he had basically a perfect season.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've broken that down before. I mean, nobody scored on those guys.
Right.
So, I mean, good for him. I guess good for Oregon.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And at some point, he'll probably come back to the SEC anyway,
right?
Yeah. Come back home.
Right.
But the money is crazy.
Yeah. Don't know where the breaking point is. There's got to be one.
Yeah. I mean, the new numbers, these guys, you know, $10 million a year. And I guess Saban got that or close to that 10 years ago at Alabama. And now it's, I mean, I wonder what they're paying Saban.
I don't know.
Whatever he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the conference realignment. We've got Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. I think they're trying to work out with the networks and their schedules, but probably within 3 years, maybe 4.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, when I grew up, that was, you know, Southwest Conference.
Yeah.
Big time. And was talking with Matt about how that was going to be realigned, and he said 4 basically quadrants,
right?
4 regions of 16 teams in the SEC. Pretty interesting. But I mean, they're coming for the money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Dedicated fan bases.
Transfer portal.
Yeah.
That makes it crazy.
Yeah.
For the coaches.
Yeah. And we, you know, talked about is college football turning into the NFL, and you know, you kind of be a free agent and go in the transfer portal and
I think it's
go somewhere else and play.
Probably, I mean, for the coaches, it's tougher than the NFL because at least they can lock a guy down into a contract for 4 or 5, 6 years, and I mean, these college guys can, I mean, and they're following the coaches too, a lot of cases, sometimes not.
Yeah.
But real interesting. And now, of course, were paying players, right?
Yeah.
Which I know that was sort of controversial for a while, and a lot of people, had a hard time with that. Although, I mean, there were stories that it was out of balance when a college player can't give his 2 allocated tickets to a buddy to come watch a game. I mean, that seems ridiculous, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then these programs, at least the top programs, are making millions, tens of millions of dollars a year.
Right.
And,
Kids aren't getting anything.
I mean, they're getting nothing.
Selling their jerseys to go on spring break and getting in trouble for it.
Yeah, which something had to change.
Yeah.
And, of course, the way it's oriented now, well, I guess, I mean, they're just getting paid.
I haven't really heard anything of any disarray between people getting paid and not paid. Have you?
It was not a lot, but you got to know that, an offensive lineman who's saving the quarterback's tail week in, week out is getting nothing.
Right.
And the QB's got a new Mercedes AMG and. These guys, I mean, we've got players making $1 million.
Yeah.
College players, right?
Yeah.
Plus. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to, well, it could possibly keep creating the haves and the have-nots of here's these big teams with, big boosters and big fan base that can pay their coach big money. The players are going to want to come because they get a lot of exposure and they're going to get big money. And I don't know, hopefully it doesn't snowball into something that can't be reined in, but.
Well, that's a great point because the thing that I know that both you and I love about college football is, at least up until now, how pure it is, right?
Yeah.
And the podcast we did a week or so ago about these big boys getting in to play and just some of the great stuff about college, that it's not this pressed out, refined, starched product that's there for media and big money consumption, that, it's just a lot of fun.
Right.
And, they're playing for pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
there's still kids going to school, It's not their only thing on their resume right now.
And so, the big question is, are we at a point where we could lose the essence of college football? I mean, I hate to be all heavy on a Monday morning, but I mean, it's the money sport now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I sort of think about how the Major League Baseball has gone through it, the NFL, NASCAR, the NBA, and there gets to be a point where I think the fans don't feel connected to the players anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because they're mega rich and they become almost bigger than the sport. And so, your fan base sort of becomes disenfranchised.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know how you put the genie back in the jar at this point.
Yeah, that's always been the question.
And then I think what you'll see, the other thing that you and I talked about, was the expansion of the playoffs, right? It's gonna grow.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if Cincinnati gets blown out by Alabama, which is likely to happen.
Right.
Then, if that's, if it's 28-0, 35-0 at halftime, people are going to turn it off. The networks are going to be ticked.
Yeah.
And then people are going to say, well, there should have been 8 teams. There should have been a playoff round into the playoffs or whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that gives the networks more to advertise in, and I think that it goes back and it gives the players more to play for. So, it kind of does keep that, sincerity of, okay, well, we didn't make it into the Final Four. We're done. We're going to sit this bowl game out. We don't care. So, I mean, I do think that expanding the bowls can benefit obviously not only the networks, but also the teams and the fan bases and things like that, hopefully.
Yeah, and it seems like they'll go to an 8-team playoff, maybe not next year, but the year after. And then obviously how these bowls become aligned maybe more strongly. And some of them won't survive.
Yeah.
But the network's going to survive, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to have a big voice in how that happens. So to wrap up the money talk, what do we do? I mean, as fans, as people who love, the sport, because I mean, if they go up on my tickets $50 a year, I mean, I'm going to pay it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But when is the breaking point of when you just can't? I mean, I know my stepdad and his friends have been donating for 40 years, and they're at the top, and they can't get any higher in their percentage of donation unless they're going to be like a corporate sponsor. So the little guys will eventually get pushed out if the tickets go up too much. But
yeah, and that is the breaking point. That is the breaking point when you've got folks that have been loyal fans for decades, for generations, and they feel like that. Now they've lost their seats to the corporate boxes.
Right.
Then you're going to lose the most loyal piece of the fan base.
Right. So it's kind of a vicious circle, and it's, go back to like, when is the breaking point? Like, this is, at the end, it is still a game, still a sport. It is a business, but, it's an interesting thing to think about for sure.
Well, and I can say this, having tailgated with the Georgia fans, which I don't know that I've ever done that before last week.
Yeah.
I've done it plenty in Columbia. I had to do it in a neutral site though.
Yeah.
Neutral site in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But along with my South Carolina brethren, the Georgia faithful love the game.
Yeah.
Love college football. Let's hope it stays as close to the pure form it is for as long as possible, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Hey, Lou, great being with you.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you soon.